With the rains fully upon us for the year 2025, the need to clear houses that could possibly be victims of flooding has become necessary. And the FCT authorities are clearing up all the houses built on floodplains in Abuja. We've seen this happen before under the watch of my guest, who used to be the Director General of the FCT Emergency Management Agency for 10 whole years. These days, he's the president of the Risk Managers Society of Nigeria, and we draw from his wealth of experience handling flood-prone areas and developers who flout the Abuja Master Plan. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Magwa. Let's begin by bringing you up to speed on the major stories from Nigeria's presidency this week on our Abuja Wrap.
President Bola Tinubu has offered his warmest congratulations to His Holiness Leo XIV on his election as the Bishop of Rome and the new leader of the Roman Catholic Church. In a statement released by spokesperson Bayo Onanuga, the president says he rejoices with the leadership and congregants of the Catholic Church in Nigeria on the historic election of the new pontiff, whose message of faith and hope already resonates across the globe with a reassurance from the scriptures of a more peaceful world. The president also affirms the valued relations shared between Nigeria and the Holy See over many years, while acknowledging the rewarding partnership with the Catholic Church in peace building, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and more recently, the promotion of technology in advancing human capacity. President Bola Tinubu is to unveil an executive bill on a policy known as the Renewed Hope Nigeria First policy, that is to prioritize Nigerian businesses and local content to foster a new business culture in the country. According to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idriss, who briefed after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the policy aims to change government spending, procurement processes, and economic development to support local industries.
This seeks to foster a new business culture that will be bold, confident, but also very, very Nigerian. And it aims at making government to invest in our people and our industries by changing how government spends money, how we procure, and how also we build our economy, and enforce procurement guidelines to prioritize locally made goods and homegrown solutions. It has also been directed to create what is called local content compliance framework for all government procurements.
The three senators representing the three senatorial districts in Kebbi State have met with President Bola Tinubu to inform him of their intention to defect from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). Namely, Senator Adamu Alero representing Kebbi Central, Senator Yaya Abdullahi representing Kebbi North, and Senator Garba Maidoke representing Kebbi South. The lawmakers were led to the president's office at the State House by the national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje. According to the national chairman of the APC, the decision of the senators is in line with President Tinubu's agenda to increase the numerical strength of the party. He also reacts to allegation that the president wants to turn Nigeria to a one-party state.
The three senators, PDP senators from Kebbi State, the agreement and the resolution, they are decamping to our great party, the APC. This is a good development, and it is in consonance with what is happening in Nigeria today. Almost every week, in the Senate, House of Representatives, you see members of other political parties decamping into our party. So we came here so that Mr. President will bless this resolution. If one party state is a wish and blessing to Nigeria, one party state is not by force. One party state is by negotiation, is by other political parties seeing the effect of the positive governance of our party. If they decide to come into our party willingly, I think there's nothing like that. There's nothing with that. Today, democratic China It's one of the most strong countries in the world, and it's a one-party system. We are not saying that we are working for one-party system, but if that is the wish of Nigerians, we cannot quarrel with that. You know, they say too many cooks spoil the soup. Too many political parties spoil governance.
In another development, the government of Qatar has expressed strong interest in expanding bilateral cooperation with Nigeria by exploring opportunities in agriculture, food security and petrochemicals, among other critical sectors in Nigeria. Qatar's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Mohammed bin Abdulaziz Al Khulaifi, disclosed this when he led a delegation to meet with President Bola Tinubu at the State House, Abuja. Mr. Al Khulaifi, whose responsibilities include mediating peace in Africa and the Middle East, said some Qatari companies will visit Nigeria to discuss investment opportunities in agriculture. President Tinubu will welcome the new initiatives by Qatari government, assured that Nigeria remains open to strategic partnerships, just as he emphasized Nigeria's readiness to build on the momentum generated by a state visit to Qatar in 2024 to implement all bilateral agreements between the two countries. President Tinubu also noted ongoing reforms to streamline Nigeria's tax system, making it easier for foreign investors to do business in the country, as he called for an improvement on Nigeria's partnership with Qatar by looking into food sovereignty and economic prosperity. Meanwhile, the federal government has signed an agreement with the International Fund for Agriculture Development (IFAD) to commit over $158 million to support small-scale farmers in 9 northern states of Nigeria. The agreement was signed at the State House at a meeting presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima.
This reflects President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to prioritizing what matters most: people, productivity, and prosperity. The Value Chain Program for Northern Nigeria is anchored on 3 pillars: climate resilient agriculture, inclusive value chains, and accountable governance. The President is fully on board. He is fully committed to this project and has given his word that the counterpart funding of $30 million will be paid by the federal government in the coming weeks.
And lastly, the federal government has launched a 5-year national plan of action to end violence against children in Nigeria. At the launch of the document in Abuja, President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, says the administration will continue to build necessary institutional frameworks that guarantee the rights and safety of every Nigerian child.
Today, under the vision of the Renewed Hope Agenda, we are setting our sights higher. The invaluable commitments made during the 2021 National Policy Dialogue on ending violence against children continue to guide our efforts. Inspired by the momentum from Bogota and the leadership seen across our continent, we are expanding the frontiers of possibility.
Welcome back. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has issued a stern warning to land developers to steer clear of flood-prone areas or risk sanctions by the administration. The coordinator of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, Felix Obua, gave the warning while embarking on an enforcement exercise to some buildings in the nation's capital, contravening the Abuja Master Plan. He further stated that land developers who encroach the floodplains and deface the Abuja Master Plan will no longer be condoned. Please watch this.
Some top officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, led by the coordinator of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, are embarking on an enforcement exercise to building sites contravening the master plan of the city. This building is situated in the Utako district, and the FCTA alleges that the company lacks approval for the land behind it, and as such, the construction ongoing is illegal.
We came for a joint inspection. We saw a lot of contravention going on in Abuja, and we feel that we cannot sit down any longer and watch this happen. So we have to take today as a joint inspection. Here we are at Utako. You can see for yourself one of the major reasons of flooding in Abuja. You can witness it for yourself. We came here and we saw a Chinese company. We can't identify them, but the people who saw here said that they are being constructed by a Chinese company who owns this hotel you are seeing over there. And we said this cannot happen. The building has been in existence, has all the necessary approval, but this area is a green area. I think the building was considered to a Chinese company, but they now trespass from the building down to the green area, trying to acquire this, which was not originally in the approval. That's exactly why we're here today. This work you are seeing here is less than 1 month, and when we heard about it, we came here and gave them stop order. And today I decided to call all the directors to come and see it for themselves and take a joint decision about this. But definitely, after our meeting, before we continue coming here, we have mobilized the equipment. All the hotels we are seeing here has to go down. We have to open up the channel to make sure there's no flooding in Abuja.
From Utako, the delegation proceeds to the Guzape district, and just like the previous location, these buildings are being constructed on the waterway.
Plot allocated at the entrance of the FHA estate down there. Then, because of the proposed S20 road coming, it affected part of the plots, so they were given additional land for compensation to compensate what they have lost. But that does not mean that they can just come and build without approval. Sometimes back, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, in the course of our weekly site visitation, we came around this place and I noticed this development, which I said there is no way development can be in a valley and approved. So I set up a committee to investigate. That committee leads to the information of what you call the building contravention task force. And the findings, just preliminary findings from the task force field investigation, revealed that the structures on ground are more than what was approved, which is a total violation of the approval granted. And the report was forwarded to the coordinator, who visited this site first time, second time, and today. And we're here to remove the offending structures that were not approved. This is a total case of compromise, because there's no way you can tell me somebody didn't know these structures were coming up. So part of the process is we're going back to the office to do the administrative needful, who were here when these structures were coming up, and then we applied the necessary sections.
We have invited the developer, we have asked him to stop work, but then he don't want to do that. The only language you will hear is we'll bring everything here down. That is all. And I've directed the domain control to move out with their machine in less than 48 hours. Everything here should go down.
Determined to restore the master plan of the nation's capital, the FCT administration vows to continue the enforcement exercise to ensure full compliance.
Helping us understand what areas in Abuja need to be cleared of illegal structures as the rains get stronger is the very first Director General of the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Abbas Idriss. He is currently the president of the Risk Managers Society of Nigeria. He recently urged the FCT minister not to reduce the agency to a department, citing the crucial role it plays in disaster management, especially when it comes to flooding in the FCT. Mr. Abbas Idriss, welcome again to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much for having me once again.
It's so good to see you. Retirement is looking good on you.
My pleasure. I have to rest.
I can even see you're even putting on some weight.
I have even reduced.
Oh, you've even reduced right now?
Yeah, so many people were complaining, so I have to reduce.
Well, I mean, you were Director General of the FCT Emergency Management Agency for 10 whole years.
Yes.
everyone calls you DG Emeritus. Sadly, and I saw you talking about it online, where you were asking the FCT minister not to downgrade the agency to a department. But that has happened.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
So bad. So bad. Because FCT is a pace setter. And it's supposed to be leading so that others can follow. And in a situation whereby you are progressing, going higher, and then you are now degraded, the morals of the staff will go down. And then also, the risk is increasing in the FCT because the population is increasing. And as the population increases without commensurate increase in the infrastructural development, definitely it's going to affect the city in terms of disaster.
Let's break that down a little bit, because many people look at the FCT minister and they feel he's working, and he is. We do see a lot of construction going on everywhere. We focus really on the job that the FCT minister is doing. Do you find that some areas that should be managed by FEMA, if it was still an agency, do you feel like those places are suffering right now?
Yes, you see, FCT is an emerging city. So how, if you take one aspect of the development and say you are working, I don't think that is what is expected of the FCT. You have to work side by side as you are studying also the composition and the people that are settling in the FCT. We all agree that the people in the FCT are not supposed to be in the FCT at this moment because the development has not reached a stage whereby it can accommodate such people in terms of amenities, social development, and what have you. So in this regard, if you construct roads, you are only taking 0.001 servicing the people of the FCT, because how many people get cars that can fly the roads? And then, but if you go ahead and look at the devastating effect of flooding alone in the FCT, that will affect a community, that will give them diarrhea, will give them different kinds of epidemics, then you will now know that you have a lot to do in terms of other aspects of development. So, and where are the agencies that are going to do such job? You have to build them up. You have to empower them. You have to give them their wherewithal. You have to give them, to encourage the staff, build their capacity, and then they will handle that aspect. So when the most important thing is prevention, you have to prevent flooding from happening in the FCT. By the time it happens, it's exposing the entire administration. And that is why we are calling that those agencies should be strengthened, not to be downgraded.
The FCT authorities recently started demolishing buildings that are on floodplains. And I remember when you were Director General of FEMA.
We did.
Yes. quite a lot of demolitions.
Yes.
And we, and because you were there for quite a long time, we were able to track the progress made over the years.
Yes.
So when the demolitions happened in Lokogoma many years ago, we could see that there was no flooding there the next year.
Yes.
And we could, even in Apo, in parts of Apo and all those other areas.
Exactly.
Now, the demolitions are ongoing right now. And of course, we've heard the FCT administration read the Riot Act to all developers, which is something that you had to do as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit from your experience. Parts of the FCT right now that you still feel developers have contravened the Abuja master plan.
Yes, as a risk manager, we have carried out a survey of the FCT just last week to see how prepared FCT is in terms of flooding. And we have discovered that even the drainages were not desilted. And then there are buildings made, fresh buildings made on the floodplain.
In what areas?
In some areas, many areas. If you go to the areas around Wuse, you go to Gariki, you go to Metama 2, you will see that a lot of constructions are being done on the floodplain and flood-prone areas. So if you block the ways, the waterways, and even the construction that is going on right now, there are some, what do you call it, debris parked by the side of the construction, which has not been parked.
Which constructions?
And the road constructions.
Okay.
And so you find out that when rain comes, it will push the debris into the drainages and block the drainages. And the next thing is flooding. And then we also discover that those sweeping the roads with their shovels, they just pack and throw it back. And so as you throw it back, you are still putting them together so that when the rain comes, you'll pack them and take them to the drains and block them. So you need to carry out a risk assessment. The administration need to carry out a risk assessment and ensure that they identify where risk is and then decide what to do with the risk, either to retain it or take it.
I think in many ways, it does feel like the FCT administration is really focusing on developers, errant developers, which is a very big problem.
It is.
Building on floodplains and contravening the master plan. It's something that we watched you deal with over the years. Is there an actual solution? They're saying sanctions. We will put sanctions now. Is that the way to go?
Well,
or
there must be collaborations and synergy between also the agencies of the FCT, which we were leveraging before. And you make sure that everybody is doing his own job. What we normally do was that carry out the assessment, call stakeholders meeting, inform them, look, your agency is responsible for this, you allow this to happen. You now have to be responsible for clearing this, taking AEPB. Everybody knows that we can't start packing waste. It is for AEPB. But there must be that synergy between the two agencies so that we can now talk to them. And then the citizens also have to participate. And before I left office, my plan was to involve the developers into the scheme, because as they build, they are also violating the master plan of the FCT. Inside, you may not know until something is coming up or you carry out an assessment. Inside the estate, you see, and that was the problem we were having with Trade Mall. From outside, it's a large, beautiful estate, but inside there are infractions which can cost life. And the same thing with Lokogoma. It was when we got in that we were able to discover that so many buildings were done on the waterways. So if you, without that assessment, without the collaboration and partnership, we wouldn't have succeeded in that aspect.
the Works Management Office, you're moving it to Abuja, aren't you? I think it's been in Lagos.
When the president is in Abuja, definitely.
They have to open.
By the time the president
Since you're the president and you are here,
definitely
it's only natural
that is it.
that
It's
it should be
natural.
here. Are there plans to meet up with the FCT minister?
Well,
Maybe work together with him?
Well, the first thing we will do, we will write him, informing him about the Risk Managers Society of Nigeria, which is a 40-year association that has been working in Lagos. The president is aware of how impactful that association, that society is in Lagos. And therefore, we want to, now that the president is, the president of Nigeria is aware of the impact in Lagos. So now that the president of the society is in Abuja, definitely Abuja should feel the impact of RMSN. Every situation like the climate change that is happening now, we always look forward to Lagbo Dam releasing their water. And what do? Only to wait for the devastating effect, and then we take money and give to those suffering every year. Don't we have a permanent solution? The same thing with Lokoja. We know that definitely water will come from 7 or 8 countries to come and discharge at the confluence point. What solutions do we have? For 2 weeks, the trucks cannot move to Abuja, and it really affected the economy. Oh, yes. What is the implication? What was the implication on our economy? Shall we allow such things to be happening every now and then? We have a permanent solution if we want. And the best thing is carry out the risk, advise the government beforehand, and then tell them what to do.
I want to thank you very much for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
And good luck with your plans with the FCT. We hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. Do your due diligence. Find out if where you are renting, building, or buying is on a floodplain. It will be demolished eventually. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. So please protect yourself and your money from charlatans. Do your due diligence when it comes to housing in the FCT. And if you're already renting, building, or have bought a house on a floodplain at this moment, it's time to move and try to get your money back. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Megwa. See you next time.